What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met, my name is Johnny Nitafan, and in this interview, we got another top producer telesales interview. Gonzalo is just coming off another hat trick day, closed $3,000 of annual premium approved and issued already. Gonzalo, welcome to the podcast, man.
How's it going, Johnny? Happy to be back.
Dude, people loved it so much they wanted round two, so let's do it. Bro, what's been new? It's been like 2 months, man. What's new with you?
Yeah, man, it's been a great transition. I feel like I love to challenge myself. So every single week it's a new challenge. But I've been steady growing, going up slowly. And yeah, man, I feel like I'm profiting a lot more, which is the most important part. When you become a life insurance agent, you obviously want to be actually making some money. So past couple months, man, I feel like I've left my home maybe like 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
But
And you sold
it's
insurance in what, Florida?
yeah. I went on a little vacation, with the wifey, and it was her birthday, so I made a sale on vacation, which took me 57 minutes. I made a quick, 600, $700, and I was
Not
like, wow,
bad,
this is
bro.
crazy. Yeah. But yeah, man, I've been loving it. The system is working amazing for me. I'm firing on all cylinders right now. I feel like I'm so confident in my ability to just anytime I hop on the dialer, I'll be able to hold a conversation with somebody. I'll be able to kind of guide them and show them um what they need to see. A lot of people they just don't even know
Yeah.
what they have. So I kind of take pride in myself of being that expert in the
Yeah.
product knowledge. So I'm huge on replacements. That's what I really
Yeah,
focus
so
on. I
I that's
find
why I wanted to one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, dude, because you are, I mean, you closed what, was it 3,300 or $3,600 deal earlier?
yeah, definitely. And it would have never happened if I didn't ask the right questions.
Yeah, so
So
just to preframe this real quick, guys, this guy Gonzalo, I mean, he replaced a lot of policies, and at first, like I thought, like if you're replacing this many policies, like what are you doing? But he has an interesting fact-finding way to be able to actually figure out what this client actually has, if they're actually in the best position, and then most importantly, like is this the best policy that this client can be in? And what's cool is these people are in just horrible policies that he's able to get them in a better policy, better rate typically, and that will last the rest of their life. So talk through this a little bit because you just did a training for the community earlier today, but I wanted you to come on here to the YouTube channel and just kind of talk to our friends here, like, okay, when you get somebody who already has coverage, what's kind of your thought process going through it, and then how are you taking them to get to the place where you're actually replacing the policy, they're happy, you're happy, everybody's happy.
yeah, well, there's a couple ways you can look at it, Johnny. I feel like when somebody hears like, "Oh, I already have insurance," it kind of like knocks them down, or they're immediately thinking, "I want to add on." And when you add on, it's typically, maybe a 40, $50 app. So I say, yeah, perfect. That's exactly why they have me calling you. Just out of curiosity, which one of our carriers did you end up with? So that's like my tonality with it. I fact find who the company is. And
Yeah.
if they're in our network, if they're one of the companies that I work with, I feel amazing because I'm like, all right, perfect. I already know who you're with. That's a phenomenal company. How long have you been with them? So I figure out how long have they had it, how they got it. If they got it through the mail, if they filled out something through the mail and they're really healthy, it's a graded program. They weren't never asked any health questions. So I'm like immediately jumping on top of that.
How many of the people are you seeing actually go down that route?
Oh, a ton, man. I feel like people don't want to deal with humans anymore. So they're like, if I can fill something through the mail and get that insurance without anybody talking to me like I'm going to get it, but then they're being grouped in that graded program
Yep.
with the sickest
Horrible.
folks, right? So it's a 2-year wait every single time you get put in a graded program. I tried to explain the importance of grades. So there's your preferred rating, your standard, and your 2-year wait. So yeah, I figure out most people don't know what rating they were given. So I put it on the back burner and then I start pre-qualifying them. So
Okay.
if they're healthy as heck, I'm going to call the company. And that's a policy review. I think you should do it every 2 years. But the way I do it is, I let them know like, hey, I have their agent hotline. What I can do is I'll get them on the phone, we'll verify you really quick, and we'll figure out exactly what you were given. Okay.
Yeah.
And most of the time, 90% of the time, people have never done that. I'm surprised when I see somebody that actually opens up their policy and looks at, how much they actually got, what their premiums are. So that's really what I focus on, just basic questions. I'll get the carrier on the phone, and after we get the client verified, I ask them. So we know that Miss Johnson has some kind of insurance with you guys. Is this a whole life policy, a term, or a universal? Okay. So immediately they let you know. I'm always praying they have whole life, especially if they're senior. But sometimes there's those scenarios where they think they have permanent coverage,
Yeah.
but it's a term. So they're going to eventually see those premium increases
Yep.
or the policy terminates altogether. So,
Which is horrible.
um, yeah, it really is terrible, and it's hit home for me. Like I've known a lot of people personally that have lost their coverage at 80, and they paid it for 30 years. So it makes no sense as to why put people over 65 in a term, in my opinion. But there's a lot of seniors out there with terms.
Yeah.
So anytime I hear that it's a term, I get those premium increases from the company themselves. So I'm like, oh, Miss Johnson, did you hear that? It's a term. It's not a whole life. So term means terminating, right? So while I'm on the phone with the carrier, they're already like selling it for me. All right. I'm like, okay, so Miss Johnson, she'll be turning 70 here next year. Can you tell me what her premiums will be when she turns 70? And then they usually double. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, like, did you know that, Miss Johnson? No, you didn't. Okay. And then, Miss Lincoln Heritage, when she's 75, when will this policy or what will the premiums be? Right. And it's it just keeps going up and up and they hear it. So they're like in their heads, they're like, oh my God, I thought my policy was gonna stay the same price until I passed away. And
Yeah.
here their company is telling them, no, you're only in these 5 year terms that keep going up. So terms are a huge sale point for me.
That's huge.
um, yeah, and I basically just tell them, look, there's nothing wrong with term if you're younger, if you're protecting a mortgage, if you have, kids you're putting through school, and if anything happens to you, you need to pay off, their student loans or, whatever the case is. There is a great time for term, but I don't think it's a forever program.
No, it's not.
And I make it known. I make it known that there's rarely ever cash value in them. So it's basically like burning your premium. And if you don't pass away that month, you're out of luck. So yeah, I compare term to fool's gold and then whole life to real gold. So the price differences make sense. Term is about two-thirds cheaper than whole life because the chances they actually pay out are 1 to 3% of the time. So it's like it's very rare that you see a term
Yeah.
policy pay out. That's statistics. So that's a huge sale point for me.
So, okay, I
Another
have a question for you. Like, how early are you going into calling the carrier? Like, are you calling them like right when you hear that, or are you like going through medically qualifying them, seeing what they actually can get approved for, then calling in? How's that work?
exactly. So if they're, on their last leg, it's one of those things where
Like a
like
graded type plan, like
yeah,
guaranteed issue?
if I can only give them a guaranteed issue, I'm not going to replace it. But if they're healthy and they have the option for an upgrade, for instance, I've replaced graded policies that were 12 years old, and I was able to beat the rate with a preferred program, plus get them like 1,000 to 1,200, maybe even more of cash value back.
That's
So
huge, bro. Yeah.
yeah, man, it really is. If you can help somebody either save money on their premium by a couple bucks or, and get them cash back plus more coverage, it's a no-brainer, right? So I see too many agents, they just call. They hear, oh, you already have coverage. Gotcha. Well, are you looking to add on? How much can you afford? And it's like, instead of, doing it like that, you want to see how much they're already paying for it and see if you can work with what they have and make it better,
Hmm.
right? So, another big thing is loans. People will take loans on their policy and they get charged the interest rate. So I try to make it known like, hey, look, your interest rate is this per year. If you don't pay this interest rate, it's just going to keep coming out of your cash value. Once your cash value reaches zero, your policy's lapsed if you don't pay it up. That's another, story that hits home for me as well. I've seen people's policies not pay out because of a loan, right? So
Unfortunate.
that's a huge sale point for me, man. And another one would be the universal lives. There's great times that you can use it, but most of the time if somebody's had it for 30 years or more, even like 40, 50 years, there is a risk of their policy lapsing if they don't watch the cost of insurance. Okay, you never want your cost of insurance to exceed your premium, because once that happens, it's just like a term, your cash value keeps going down, cash value reaches zero, and
Yep.
you're out of luck. you know
100%. No, that's good, dude. One thing that a lot of agents I see come in either to the community or just into the industry is they don't take extreme accountability and ownership of their own success, blaming leads, IMO, agency, things like that. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Just because you are successful, that you came into the community, you're hyper executing. You and I have worked one on one together, and really scaled your business, telesales wise, generating your own leads, having consistent people coming in. What are your thoughts on that, and what makes a really top telesales producer?
it's just, I feel like it's really easy to blame everybody but yourself. It really is. And how hard you're working deep down, how many dials you're hitting, what you can do. Like, it's in this industry, anybody over 60 years old that has insurance is fair game in my eyes. Like, I will try to make a friend. I will try to sound knowledgeable because I am. I do have a lot of product knowledge. And
Yeah.
and if you can teach somebody something they don't know, it makes you the expert. So now they're looking at you with respect and trust. So there's
Yep.
very little times that I get those objections where, like social security objections are very rare, even though a lot of people get them. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So
So
just
how are
like,
you able to get like not many social objections?
the yes train. So you get them, you're like, all right, so what's your driver's license number? Gotcha. And then your approximate height and weight? Perfect. And then your mailing address? Great, great. And then are you a tobacco user of any kind? No, perfect. And then, I kind of like tiptoe. I get them saying yes a couple times, and then I'm like, all right, now go ahead with your social. And I look down, and even if I'm on the phone, man, I look down, and it's like they just say it, and it's like yes. But another way to do it is when you're doing a policy review, um, you're building trust. So you know what you're talking about with these companies, and most of the time when they get verified, they will have to say their social, right? So they will be, verifying themselves, and like once they've already said it once on the call, the second time it's no big deal. I make them, repeat it to me, and it's very rare I get those kind of objections. It's But back to what you were saying, I feel like people really have to be in the trenches, man. It's not an easy career. You have to take a million no's every day to get those three yeses.
Yeah.
And that's what nobody understands, I feel like, until you're actually doing it. Whether it's door to door or telesales, you just have to keep applying that pressure, keep throwing, everything against the wall until something sticks. And yeah, I feel like it's very easy to blame the system. It's very easy to blame the leads. Dude, like just yesterday, I sold a lead that was like 3 weeks old, and it blows my mind because to me that's new. Like to me, a 3 week old lead is pretty new.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like after a day or two it's old, and like yeah, half of these seniors don't remember what they ate for breakfast, but it's just, it's if there's a need for you, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Yeah.
So,
That's
um,
100% true because especially the leads we're working are like just so good and they actually want insurance, which is crazy. Dude, so you started generating your own leads about 3.5 months ago. You've been running ever since, dude, doing 20 to 30,000 a month now, which is awesome. Why did you end up going down the self-generated leads route, Facebook leads, rather than working check leads how you were before, or working door-to-door sales, or even trying to do it yourself?
yeah, well, one thing would be, time efficiency. Going door to door, you're driving, you're spending a couple minutes between doors. If they're not home, it's terrible when you get 10 doors that aren't home. You're like, holy cow, how can I get somebody that's home? And at that point, you're just true people searching. You're looking for ways to, find somebody that fits in your category, and you might be able to like make a friend and sell them,
Yeah.
right? Teach them and find a problem they didn't even know they had. So telesales has just given me a lot of time back. It's a lot easier to get lazy with it. You have to be committed. You have to be, you have to have a schedule. It's
Yep.
very easy to not start till 11 and then end at 5, and you have a good little 6 hour day, make a sale. But if you want three sales, you have to commit yourself from like 8 a.m. to, I just stopped dialing at 7. So that's a good 11-hour day. Just focus, took my coffee, and it's consistent. I feel like I have a power dialer, so that's huge. It takes the work out of dialing, so you're just answering, and you're getting a lot of
Yeah.
no's, man. But at the
Yeah,
end of
so
the
you
day,
use Kixie and you just obviously came in, started dialing with that. But what's the difference that you've seen dialing with a local presence number and making sure that it's spam free rather than like what you're doing before and either hand dialing or calling out of the CRM?
night and day difference, man. I would not use my phone unless it's for a personal client that I already have, and we've texted back and forth, so it's not like I'm popping up as spam, because I've probably, dialed a fair share of calls from my phone. But the fact that the local presence changes your area code number to match theirs, it's
Yep.
almost like they answer every single time. And even if you get a no, it's like, hey, like you're right around the corner,
Yeah.
versus a couple states away. So it builds trust like that. You get the pickup rate is insane. I made my first two deals today before noon, which is it blows my mind. So it's one of those things where I think it's a must. I don't think you can get away with using something that doesn't match the same area code as to whatever number you're calling. And then yeah, man, you're so organized with Kixie. I feel like it tells you how many dials you have, how many connections, your talk time. It records all your conversations. It's a really powerful tool that I feel like I wouldn't be able to do what I do without it.
Yeah.
I know that I'd be a lot messier, and yeah, man, it's been helping me out a ton,
Yeah,
definitely.
so a lot of agents, and you guys might be one of them, think that the dialer is gonna allow you to not work. And that's just simply not the case, right? You have to still work. Whatever technology, whatever system, whatever, like there's so many different things and ads that you're going to be seeing. But really what's going to allow you to see success is not those specifically, right? What's really going to allow you and push you to that next level to really see success that you want in this business is having doing the work. Like nothing's going to escape that. Now, these things will allow you to be able to do it more efficiently and be able to scale probably quicker. But it's not going to just scale on its own. Like you can't just do it it's not going to do it for you. You still have to work, you still have to consistently dial. But it allows you to get more out of what you're putting in. When most people are spending 3 to 4 or 500 dials a day or doing 500 dials a day, Gonzalo's doing 200 dials a day, 100, maybe 100, if that, and closing 1 to 3 deals a day consistently, right? Which is
Exactly.
awesome. And so, you have really good lead flow, which I definitely feel like contributes into it. Your sales ability has like is great. How would you say like if a new agent really wanted to get as good with like at overcoming objections, consistently closing deals like you, what would you say they should do? Like, what would your advice be to them?
You gotta realize it's a 24/7 job. You know, you're consistently learning. I feel like even after I get off the dialer, or even, you know, back in the day when I would come back after a long day, I would go to YouTube and I'd pop up some YouTube videos, you know, like a lot of great knowledge on there. And it's like you learn the language of sales and you learn the verbiage, which is huge. That's the most important thing. A lot of agents they'll say bad sales words, you know, and they don't even know that they're pushing away their
Well, let's talk
client
about
by.
that. What are some things that you hear or don't say necessarily? Like, what are some bad like sales words per se, would you say?
I don't talk about shopping. I don't talk about selling. Shop, sell, change, um, cancel. Those are like the top four right here. I'm always like, hey, we're gonna upgrade you. We're gonna get your reimbursement. You know, and like when you talk about like finding them the best product, I'm always like, yeah, so I have access to all the state regulated providers, and what we can do is I'll compare, you know, all the rates for you and see which one will give you the best, you know, program based on your age and your health. So I'm never saying like, hey, I'm here to sell you anything. If anything, I'm like, hey, I'm just the field underwriter. I can't even sell you something if you beg me to. So that's the biggest thing is I really just I keep their guard very low, and I try to keep like, you know, make it not go not raise any kind of stipulation in their head where they're like, okay, this guy's trying to, you know, change my program, because people don't like change. They don't want to deal with it. So I always reassure them that you know, I'm licensed with the state to make sure they're getting everything they're entitled to. And with that being said, I can, you know, they put their trust in me. I'm like, hey, Johnny, you're not going to have to lift a finger. I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. And, you know, here's my personal number. It's the same number that my mother calls me on. So you can rest assured that I'll be answering calls.
Yeah.
And it's just the trust, man. Be genuine. I'm always on my phone. I feel like I'm always replying to clients. I'm always calling them. I'm helping them. I don't make them do a single thing. I call the carriers for them. I make sure they get the replacement form sent out. I call them to help them fill it out. I'm calling the companies to make sure their cashback is coming in a good time. And I'm filled with admin work, man. Like I feel like I have a lot of, you know, calls to make every single day, and it's just it's a lot of work, but that separates you from your average agent that kind of like, you know, sells them and forgets about them and never talks to them
Yep.
again. So, um, and I've built my book of business the past year to where now I can even start working my own book of business. I haven't even tried yet, but I know there's a lot of money in there. You know, my old clients could have possibly bought a new policy and it might have not been in their best interest. So as an insurance agent, you have the right to review everything and make sure you know, there's no room for improvement. If somebody's not deadly ill and they're put in a 2-year wait program and they qualify for
Yep.
preferred, I'm going to make sure I build that importance. I put doubt in their mindset of, hey, like you're a little bit too healthy for this. I don't know why they put you in this program.
Yep.
So yeah, that's basically it, man. I think that it's a learning process. You have to do the reps. It's taken me, you know, thousands of people to get to this point. And I feel like you get better with every phone call, with every
Yeah.
door knock, every time you talk to somebody, you just get better. So,
I want to ask you about something, because I feel like one reason why you're really successful is because there's a saying you can't sell if you can't buy, right? And so I think you made one of the biggest investments, right, in yourself to start working with me. What is your thought process on investing in yourself and into coaches and people to actually help you get to that next level a lot faster so you don't have to like all do it all yourself?
oh man, I feel like being able to, uh,
Because it's scary, right?
control.
And a lot of people won't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
So I'm
it's the
just curious your
scariest.
thought process with it all.
Well, I looked at it like this, right? I didn't go to college. I didn't want to take on any debt to go to college. And I was like, okay, people will pay 9, 10 grand a year, if not even more, or a semester,
Yeah.
to go to college and learn from a professor that makes maybe 70K a year. So it's like, that's a scam in my eyes. If I can have friends in my circle that are making, an uncapped amount and I see their growth. Like I see where they're going in 10 years. It makes me realize like, okay, like if they can do it, why can't I do it? Right. So I feel like the past year I've surrounded myself around a lot of entrepreneurs that it's your a mentor will take you a lot farther than 4 years of college or 6 or 8 years of college. Like even if you end up going to school for that long, now you got all this debt you have to pay off and you have to work that hourly wage and it really sales is the key to unlocking freedom and most people haven't realized that yet but it's uncomfortable. It's not for everybody, obviously. I feel like if you have a desire to grow and constantly be uncomfortable, like you're gonna succeed. But watching people like yourself, man, like you're probably one of the hardest working people I know. And you're younger than me, and I thought I was pretty young. So it's crazy to think about because I'm like that motivates me. You motivate me a
Yeah.
lot more than you know, and it's the investment option is like, all right, if you don't take this risk in 10 years down the line, you have more to lose. And
Yeah.
and then what? You're gonna be regretting your whole life that you didn't take this step, right?
Yeah.
So I put my back against the wall and I didn't give myself an option. Don't say if, say when.
Yeah.
That's huge because your mindset, man, it's everything. It makes
Yeah.
or breaks you, right? In this game, it's all mindset. You're constantly getting verbally abused, and you just have to, laugh it off and keep going, man. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I've noticed is if you are too afraid to invest in yourself, it's because you don't believe in yourself. And once you start
Yeah.
building that confidence, you're like, wow, why didn't I do this any sooner? That's the only thing I regret is not starting this sooner.
Yeah, and I think like what you said is exactly right, right? Because I'm not afraid to invest in coaches courses. Like, I mean, I paid it $1,500 for an hour, like 45 minutes of this guy's time to coach me. Um, I mean, I'm probably gonna invest in a $4,000 to $7,000 a month program to get like more in depth coaching. Right? I believe it, I walk it, I talk it, and I think a lot of people like what holds people back is like, what if this goes wrong? What if I pay you? And I think like if you're even thinking about that, if that thought ever comes across your mind, like you haven't spent enough time with the person, right? Like see the more testimonials, right? See more of their content. Try to apply their content to your actual business. And if you make money, then that's proof that shows you that if you were to work hand in hand with this person, they'll actually lead you to success. And I think what's different from you than a lot of other people, and I would say I'm in this category too, that like courses will take you so far, but you have to execute yourself, right? The reason why you're successful is not because of me, it's because you went out and hyper executed with the information I gave you, because you get the information that other people get, and you're in a different situation than most people. And so it's like, okay, what's the difference? It's not the information, it's not the coaching, it's really like you and you are actually going out and hyper executing. And so I think that's just a skill that if you're wanting to be a successful life insurance agent, you have to be willing to like get in front of like get it around people that will increase your level of output, right? Like allow you to see what hard work actually looks like, building systems, processes, actually building online business, but then also getting around people that are doing higher things and bigger things than you could even imagine. And so there's different things that hold people back from actually seeing success. And Hormozy talks about it at the best is like you're either lacking skill set, a character trait, or a belief. And a lot of people don't believe that they can actually make 20 to 30,000 a month from home, but you can. And so like I'm proof, Gonzalo's proof, like it's proof that you actually can make money online selling from home. And not having to do with the the average way of going out and door knocking and going broke transparently. So, um, dude, I appreciate you having you on, man. What's some advice that you could give somebody who's maybe struggling in a challenging situation? Um, Maybe they're just afraid, dude, of actually seeing the other side, or just like somebody who's not actually seeing the success that they want. What would your advice be to that person?
Well, I think that it should only take one um I don't know, like one time of you proving to yourself that it's possible. Like for me, I remember the first close I ever had was, over a year ago. And I'm like, holy crap, I just made, $500 in an hour. And, that was through Zoom. So I was like, this is crazy. Once I found out that I could do that, it was like, I can scale this, I can duplicate this, I can make this
Yep.
my living and I can do this every single day. And most people, they don't believe in that just yet because they haven't seen it happen. But I think that a lot of people get discouraged. They'll make a sale and then they get, shut down a week in a row and then they're super discouraged. But it's about just, keep showing up with a smile on your face. Every day is a new day. Every person's completely different. So don't, let your last bad interaction come to the front, and ruin your interaction with the newer people. But you gave me the ingredients to bake the cake and I've been just, baking it. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is it's not the magic pill. It's not something that's going to, work unless you put the work in. But if you can see the system works one time, even if it's a $30 a month sale, it's like that should hype you up. That's a win. And the biggest thing is in this community, I've met people that are first fresh starting out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, man. Like I feel bad because I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to get rejected every day. And your mood is always down. You're getting bullied every day. You're like, oh my gosh. But then seeing them get their first close and then their next five, it's like, oh, dude, like I knew it would work. I knew that they would get there. And it's showing up every single day with a smile on your face. Believe in yourself because no one's coming to save you except yourself. You have
Sure.
to, be the one that's going to be able to, yeah, help you get out of whatever situation you're in. But as soon as you see that you can do it one time, nothing's stopping you from doing it a million times except yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's basically it, Johnny. I think people just need to believe in themselves a lot more. So
That's it, bro. That's it. So I appreciate you taking your time to be able to pour and invest your time and energy into us in the community. Hope to see you guys on the next video. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. Share this with a friend if you found it valuable. Gonzalo, where can people reach out to you, bro?
Instagram handle is lift with Zalo 330. And you guys can DM me. I'm, open for conversations, any kind of advice. It's all free. I love helping people. So yeah.
Let's go. All right, cool. Let me know if you guys need anything. Drop in the comments down below what you took from this. Don't forget to follow Gonzalo on Instagram. Reach out to him if you have any questions. Reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions as well. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.